Glad to have your company this Sunday. I am Isabel Masozera. This is RTV News. Top of our bulletin today. The President of the Republic of Rwanda, His Excellency Paul Kagame, urged leaders to carry the burden of responsibility. This was reiterated on Sunday during the National Prayer Breakfast. Adam Squizera begins our edition.
Every year, Rwanda Leaders Fellowship brings together leaders in top positions for fellowship to celebrate the country's achievement in the past year and reflect and pray over national goals in the year ahead. Mukanyarwaya Donata, who attended these prayers, reiterated on various miracles God did to Rwanda in the last year.
We thank God that our country have peace and Rwandans are safe. Plus to that, we are also providing peace to other nations through the Rwandan forces in countries around the world. 2022 has left us with good and many friends from Rwanda. Our relations with other countries have become stronger. Rwanda is being visited. 2022 will be in history of Rwanda because God was with Rwandans in the preparations of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting known as CHOGM, which had already been postponed for 2 times. Some were asking whether it will be held or not, doubting Rwanda's ability to host it. The meeting was well organized and well attended, which rose Rwanda's pride. We thank God that the country's economy has started to recover.
The annual event that seeks to instill godly values in leadership was held under the theme of patriotism and a cornerstone for sustainable development. The head of Rwanda Leaders Fellowship, Ndahiro Moses, noted that these prayers are bringing some changes in the governance of the country. The teachings and advice given in such fellowships leave a good fruit into the individual leaders and bring about changes in families, at work, and in the country as well. While preaching, Pastor Yves Castano from Congo-Brazzaville showed that leaders should be patriotic, which begins with the burden from the country and its people. He gave an example of the President of Rwanda, where he pointed out that every time he comes to Rwanda, he sees many changes that have taken place, which make other countries to emulate it in speeding up development. The President of the Republic of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, who attended these prayers, urged the participants to pray but matching it with good deeds. And then, everyone has their own way of praying, because there is no one way of praying. There is no one way of praising. There is no one way at all. Even if I don't go to Mass every Sunday, it doesn't mean that you who go there every day gain more than me. That's a way, as I also have myself too. The important thing is that we found that time where we can praise, pray, love, and live together. The President of the Republic, Paul Kagame, used the example of that in the universe, the Earth seems to be a small planet compared to others, which gives a lesson that no country should determine how other countries live. Let's know ourselves and know how to live well. But also, remember that we are on that little thing, ragging there. You see that there are some so-called big nations, which are also named, where their leaders even reach some places where everyone bows down and stretches, so that no one can see them without making them feel safe. We are also with them on that little thing. That's why no one can come to me and tell me I'm greater than you, so that you have to do what I command you. By that time, I ask you, who are you? So as Rwandans, let's be aware of ourselves, let's try to improve and carry our burden as we have to. Leaders, of course, carry heavy burdens than others. Leaders were also urged to perform well in order to leave a good legacy. How did you live when you were there? What did you deliver to others? Or what did they do to you? When they preach us on that, maybe they are true. It could be that there will be some time we will go somewhere where we will be questioned. So remember that you will be questioned at some time. All this remind us to do well, so that if you ask me, I will tell you that I did so and so. The rest, is for you to judge. The 28th National Prayer Breakfast was attended by various leaders, including private sector leaders, diplomats, and senior religious leaders, among others. Adams Kwizera, RTV News.
Thank you, Adams. Great insight there coming from the National Prayer Breakfast. Now, moving on, some of the residents across the country whose property was damaged due to the implementation of developmental projects say they were surprised when it came to the time to receive their payment because the compensation came less than what had been agreed upon. Take a look. It's a problem cited by those whose property was destroyed for public interest activities, like the residents of Sonatube Gahanga Road. The water that comes through this road damaged businesses, houses, and vehicles. They are not happy because they were paid less than they expected for their property.
I expected 2.4 M, but only I received 400,000. No trader was happy with what happened. Their business were affected. Those who had bought things and were not compensated appropriately can't progress, instead they go backwards. They upset me because they only paid me 39,000 instead of 300,000. They owed me slightly more than 24 million, but they gave me 12.8 million. However, the law stipulates that a citizen whose property has been damaged due to the activities of public interest must be compensated within a period of 3 months. If this period exceeds, the compensation increases by 5%. Some parliamentarians recently revealed that the problem regarding this issue of those whose property has been used for public use is difficult because of getting the appropriate compensation, especially given the delayed period receiving it. Paying those who are owed because there's a delayed period is a problem. We are not supposed to go beyond 3 months before they are paid. The law demands that you pay. You're supposed to pay the residents before you destroy their property so that they can go elsewhere. But you're going ahead with activities when the residents have nowhere to go. What if someone comes to your home and destroys it? Where would you go? According to some of the property valuers, when there's a dispute regarding appropriate compensation, sometimes going to court is necessary if the two parties involved fail to reach an agreement. The activities can be halted, and the institution in charge puts the agreed money on the residents' accounts so that the work continues without offending residents. Those who received less, they pay the balance on extra. The permanent secretary in the Ministry of Infrastructure points out that the citizens whose property has been damaged due to the activities of public interest have the right to be paid in a timely manner and compensated according to what was agreed on. We will sit with the concerned institutions, especially those affiliated to the Ministry of Infrastructure, so that we can agree on an effective process, so that the development projects can be implemented after local residents have been compensated. The activities include infrastructure, roads, electricity, and water. Last year, 2022, Rwanda Transport Development Agency, RTDA, had announced that it was ready to pay more than 15 billion Rwanda francs in arrears stemming from compensation claims related to road construction. In more news, the Rwanda Cultural Heritage Academy advises service providers to use Kinyarwanda when serving locals, which will help deliver better services, but also help promote Kinyarwanda as a native language. We now go to RTV's Bulletin for more.
Experts in culture point out that language is the most important part of any culture, which means that preserving it and taking into account its value is everyone's duty. However, some residents say that through service provision, there are still gaps in preserving and promoting the Kinyarwanda language as a native language of Rwandans.
In most areas, Kinyarwanda is not used, including as on road signs and at bank tellers. Most of the times, everything is printed in other languages instead of our language.
The majority of time you find things written in English or even French, and most of the times you find that you only speak Kinyarwanda. Some of the service providers, including local authorities, say that even though there are colleagues who sometimes fail to promote the Kinyarwanda language in their daily work, but they also emphasize that using effectively Kinyarwanda is their priority. We usually use it. The only time that we don't use it is when we receive a foreigner. But most of the time we use Kinyarwanda. Even many reports are written in Kinyarwanda. We only write reports in other languages when it is necessary. While providing services, we promote the language because the majority of the residents that we serve speak Kinyarwanda. According to the Rwanda Cultural Heritage Academy, even though there are service providers that use Kinyarwanda in their daily activities, there is still a gap, especially in reports and contracts, and that this may affect both the provider and the recipient, as explained by Jean-Claude Uwiringiyimana, the Deputy Director General of the Rwanda Cultural Heritage Academy.
When you provide someone with a service in a language they do not speak or comprehend, they may not understand the service, or there may be communication difficulties. As in the case of signing a contract in a language the client does not speak fluently, it implies that he won't fully comprehend some of it.
He also urges service providers to make an effort to use Kinyarwanda because it assists in betterment of service provision.
All Rwandans, their clients, and those to whom we provide services speaking Kinyarwanda, thus using that language is recommended in order to better serve those who use our services.
The Rwanda Cultural Heritage Academy exhorts all Rwandans to take into account the worth of Kinyarwanda as a Rwandan cultural heritage, and families are especially encouraged to teach children to speak Kinyarwanda properly. Olive Nete, RTV News.
Thank you, Olive. Now, students who learn to dance at entertainment centers here in Kigali City say that dancing helps them avoid bad habits, but it also helps them develop themselves. We go to Adam Squizera for more.
A professional dancer in Rwanda, Niyonguru Jihad, we found him teaching some young people to dance different moves for these young people. Says that learning to dance helps them in their daily lives. They teach us how we can behave, how we can respect elders, and how we can develop ourselves as well. Niyonguru Jihad, who coaches these children, says that they not only dance, but they also help the students to improve and train others. Well, we have an initiative of helping these children in order to keep them busy and refresh their minds, so that instead of being drug addicts, they stay here, which literally helps the child to generate an income from his or her talent. This is where he urges parents to change their perception that dancing is an activity for the people with bad behaviors, but it's a talent which can help a child to find solutions and develop themselves. A child always keeps many things in him, so you have to let them expose their talents. Dance is like any other talents, like playing football, as we even know famous dancers like Sherry Silver. So why can't you be better than them? The government of Rwanda has put an effort into establishing entertainment centers all over the country. Club Rafiki is among all those which host between 300 and 400 youth people in weekdays and more than 50,000 people in weekends. Adam Squizera, RTV News.
Dance can indeed be a powerful tool for personal development. Now, moving on, medical experts have advised parents to avoid illegal medical treatment because it can lead to children dying at an early age. They're also calling on mothers to get tested during pregnancy because some non-communicable diseases continue to pose a threat to them. Olive Ontete brings us this report.
The 2020 Demographic and Health Survey shows that in 2000, 1,071 maternal deaths occurred per 100,000 mothers who died during childbirth in 2015. In 2020, this number dropped to 203 per 100,000 mothers. Meanwhile, 19 babies die at birth for every 1,000 children born, while the country's goal is to reduce this number to 15.2 per 1,000 children born and to 12 per 1,000 in 2030. At the Coronam Health Center, Jeannette Iraduhuje and Clarisse Umukiza are both breastfeeding their babies, and they are both doing well. They took care of me while I was pregnant. I usually attend the hospital for prenatal checkups, and they would check the health status of my unborn child, and in case of need, they would immediately take care of my unborn child. I followed the doctor's advice, and due to that, me and my child, we are in good condition. 99% of pregnant women go once for prenatal checkups, while 93% give birth at hospitals. This is among the factors that has significantly reduced the number of deaths, as Barushimana Chantal, a midwife at this health center, explains. They usually participate and they are used to it. Nowadays, they come a bit early. Before, mothers used to come for prenatal checkups at late stages during their pregnancy. Sometimes because of that, we usually find that there are diseases that a mother would transmit to her unborn child due to late checkups. But nowadays, they come for prenatal checkups at 10 weeks or 12 weeks. Those who come late usually come at 16 weeks. When a mother does not come for her appointment with the doctor, we try to contact her and know why she didn't attend. While non-communicable diseases are common nowadays, pregnant women are particularly vulnerable. According to Dr. Gilbert Uitonze, a gynecologist at Kiwagawaga Hospital, when a patient is deemed to be beyond the scope of health centers, they are transferred to hospitals where doctors can even operate on them if necessary.
Imivuduko yabaye myinshi, abarwayi b'umutima, abarwara amadiyabete.
The number of people with diseases has increased, such as high blood pressure, heart diseases, and diabetes. These are diseases that may greatly affect you or your child when you don't go for checkups while you're pregnant without knowing that you have those diseases. We always encourage people to go for checkups for these non-communicable diseases, such as heart diseases, high blood pressure, diabetes, and many others. These are the diseases we encourage women to get checked for, and they can find services for these diseases at various centers. Especially, you may have these diseases and yet you are pregnant. It is good that you come for checkups.
According to Professor Stephen Rurisa, a medical expert, despite significant progress, infant mortality rates remain high compared to maternal mortality rates, mainly due to traditional healing methods.
Issues noticed in various parts of the country is that people still have the culture to go to herbalists, and they lastly go to the hospital in bad state, and they may even die. Most of them die in rural areas due to those traditional medicines. Most of the maternal deaths are due to the giving birth at home or even children born at the hospital. But when they get sick and have fever, which may indicate malaria or any other diseases, instead of going to hospitals, they treat themselves with those traditional medicines. That's where most of the issues lies. But efforts should be made to teach people that if a child is sick or if a mother is sick, has to go to the doctor. We have medicines and doctors. People should not consult traditional healers, herbalists.
Gerda Verberg, the UN Assistant Secretary General and coordinator of the Scaling Up Nutrition, advises Rwanda to continue to take care of health of adolescent girls and young women so that they can give birth safely.
The best way forward is to invest in adolescent girls and young women who are becoming pregnant or who are pregnant, if they are in a good nutritional status, if they have a good condition, they are able to deliver healthy babies. And that's the first start. The second start, and there Rwanda is performing very well, is exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months. And Rwanda is at a level of 89%. There is space to increase and improve because we're striving for 100%, because breastfeeding has all the things that are needed for baby's first resilience. And as we know, the first 1,000 days of a child are very decisive. So invest in adolescent girls and young women.
The United Nations expresses its concerns of the nearly 5 million children who dies under the age of 5 and also 2.1 million between the age of 5 and 24 who died in 2021. This number is in addition to that of another 1.9 million who died before they were born, and 77% of them are in sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. Olive Nete, RTV News.
I am Isabel Masozera. We hope we earned the pleasure of your time. Keep it RTV.